Oh, can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me? You guys hear me? I think this thing is lagging too much. I don't know. But if I speak, it takes about 30 seconds or so before it's reflect. I think this thing is lagging too much. I don't know. But if I speak, it takes about 30 seconds or so before it's reflect. All right. So good evening, good afternoon, depending on where you are watching this from. Thank you so much for joining the live. My name is Innocent, and this is kind of a, a short live that I want to do to answer your questions. Yesterday, I made a post asking you if we met one on one. What would be a question that you would ask me? And most of you were commenting, so I just decided to come on live here and answer most of your questions. So if you are here watching, thank you for joining. So this is pretty much from the title of the live. It's a Photoshop and graphic design Q&A. So if you have any questions with regards to design or Photoshop, you can put it in the chat, and then I'm going to answer it for you. Now, what's going to make this very interesting is that you can see that I've already opened Photoshop, right? So I am going to do this with practical approaches. For instance, if you ask me a question and I have to show it to you in Photoshop, I would go ahead easily and then show it to you right here in Photoshop. So, yes, I will be waiting for your questions. Let's wait for some few people to join, and then we can I can start answering your questions. If you just joined, you are welcome. Please don't forget to leave your questions so that it gets answered. If you just joined, please don't forget to leave your Okay, so we just got our first question from Edward Amwako, an amazing, a super amazing guy. He's been so supportive to the channel. Big shout outs to Edward. And the question is, what software do you use to record your tutorial? Edward, so I use OBS Screen Recorder, right? And this is the same software that I'm using to stream this particular or do this particular stream, sorry. So I use OBS. This is OBS Screen Recorder. For me, it is very basic and very simple. You can easily just start recording here. Once you download and you set up your source, you can easily just start recording here, and then it will just start recording for you. It is very simple, user friendly for beginners, everybody. So yes, that is what I use to record my tutorials. I just plug in my microphone, go to OBS and start recording. As simple as that. Hello, Prince. You're welcome. If you can hear me, kindly drop a fire emoji or a love emoji in the comments. Please, if you can hear me, drop a fire emoji or a love emoji in the comments. My sound is I don't know, it's delaying a bit, but I believe that you all can hear me. If you have any questions, you drop it in the comments and then I'll answer you. If it demands that I illustrate it in Photoshop for you, I'm going to do that for you as well. Yes, Prince, thank you so much for the love and the fire emojis. Edward, yes, I know you can hear me, but it's just that the sound is delaying. So I'm using the other phone to watch the live, right, and listen to it. But I can see that it is delaying. So maybe when you ask your question and I don't respond ASAP, it delays for about 30 seconds. So you all take notice. So I'm waiting for your questions in the today you have the chance to ask me every single question that you want to ask me. Okay, Prince. God bless you, Sir Innocent. I wanted to start graphic designing last year. A good name by Samuel Zidomi recommended your channel. All right, thank you so much. Thanks for the support. I'm glad that the channel is has been so helpful, and I'm sure we'll continue to make more impact in the next coming days. Also, it's raining here, so my sound may kind of not be super clear, but how we can manage. Uh, the next question is from Clifford Kwashi. How to blend two colors together when designing a church flyer? Clifford, so your question is a bit broad, right? But in most cases, when you are picking your colors, I made a video recently, previously, talking about, let's say, colors and how to choose colors, right? So I'm going to illustrate to you very simply. There is something called a dominant color. Whenever you are designing your flyers, a church flyer or anything, you have to pick your dominant color. So the dominant color is the color that you are going to kind of it's going to dominate the entire design, right? And then there is the complementary, there is the secondary colors. All those things will come later on. But your dominant color has to come first. So in this case, you want to blend two colors. Can you give me two colors that you want us to use? Most cases, what I do is that, let's go to file over here. Most cases, what I do is that if I'm designing with, let's say, this particular colors, right? This is say a wedding invitation. If I'm designing with these colors, I make sure that I have these things here. So you can use your eyedropper tool, right? So I for the eyedropper tool, and then you can use it to pick this color. So this color over here, you can pick something from here, the rose pink. So you have your dominant color, which is going to be the reddish wine in this instance, right? So anything from these complementary colors can be used as a complement or a complementary color. So this rose pink, for instance, if we decide to test right now, you can see that this matches very nicely. Let's say we can do um the families of, right. So you can see this color without even the person giving us any color or anything. You can clearly see that this blends with the background that we are using. The same way, if you select the test and then you go to the top here a bit, these ones that I was talking about. So if you pick something from here, you see it blends, this blends, this blends. So you just have to decide on your main color, your dominant color, and then you can proceed to, let's say, your complementary colors. But most cases, if you are dealing with images or logos, the church logos, these colors are already found in there. Let me give you an example. So let me go to my Photoshop files. My space is almost up. Let me use this as an example. Oh, where's the healer? Let's see this one. Oh, not this. I'm not talking about this one. Okay. I think this one. Oh, not this one. 2024. All right. So let me use this one as an example, right? So you see that in this flyer, the name of the church or the colors, the logo of the church has a bit of mauve or violet, depending on how you are seeing the angle you are seeing it from, right? But then I decided not to use the colors per se, though you have a bit of the colors in there, right? So I just decided to go with something related to the logo. I hope I'm making sense, right? Or better still, if you establish your background first, then you can choose the colors to match it. That would make your design or your colors very simple. Okay, so Edward is asking how do you put Edward. I think that is pretty simple. Okay, how to put a test behind a flyer. Now, for that, there are so many ways to do it, but the simplest and easiest way is you first bring in your image. So let's bring in an image. Okay, let me scroll down. Okay, there's an image here. So this image, for instance, I want to put a test behind it. The simplest way. So I'll first unlock my layer. I'm using Photoshop 2026, so this might be a bit different, new from maybe what you're using, but it should still work, right? So what I want to do is I want to go to show contextual taskbar or bar, and then I'm going to remove the background. If you are using Photoshop 2026, this is pretty simple. Now it removes the background very simply for me, right? In this case, it leaves a layer mask over here. So if I click on the layer mask, I can disable it. That means I will still have my background, right? But then here is where it gets interesting. So I turn on I enable the layer mask. I'm going to make a duplicate. And this time around, I'm going to disable this layer mask from the layer beneath it, right? So we have this layer and we have the next layer. So I bring in my test and then I can type in here test. I press Control T and then I can transform it, and just like that, I put the test. So what we basically did is that we have a main layer which has the background of the test that we are using, right? We have our test in the middle, and we have the same image on top with the background removed. So this layer is serving as the background, and the rest is on the top. Now you can double click on your test, and then you can change the color to any color at all that you want. It's easier like that. Your channel is my go-to for anything Photoshop tutorial till today. By God's grace, I designed nice line. That's all. Thanks to you. I'm super excited to hear that. All glory to God, and I'm glad the channel has been so helpful to you. Edward, you want me to talk about Camera Raw? What exactly about Camera Raw do you want me to talk about? The Camera Raw has a lot of, features. I recently made some updated videos on Camera Raw. Recently, even Photoshop has introduced, oh, Photoshop has introduced these three new things: the color and vibrance, the clarity and the haze, and green. These are things that were previously found in a Camera Raw, right? But now they are fully active in the latest versions of Photoshop. So you don't have to go to the Camera Raw before you can have it. You can have access to it, right? But for Camera Raw, for those of us that are completely new to Camera Raw, let's say this image over here, I go to filter and Camera Raw filter, and I can apply a couple of things to this. If you are using the previous versions of Photoshop, you might probably not have it here, but or you might not see some of these things, arrangements, so many things have changed, but you can apply vibrance, which means that you boost the intensity of colors that are a bit dull in the picture, right? You can increase your saturation, which means that it already boosts the colors that are already popping. So if you really want to be on the safer side, almost always go for vibrance because it just boosts the the colors that are not so vibrant already, right? You have your texture and clarity. So the clarity basically, if you have an image that is a bit blurry, you can use clarity to make it look sharp. So you all watch here. So if I increase the clarity here, you can see that it is having an effect on the image. If I decrease it to, it makes it, it kind of dehaze it. I don't want to use the haze because the haze is right on the need of it. But clarity basically helps your image. It makes your image more clear, right? Just like the name implies. So you can increase your clarity a little bit like that. The haze, if you have an image that is overexposed or something, you can use the haze to do that as well. And then you have green also. The green that I showed you in the layer adjustments, but we have green also here. And then you can, if you want to color grade your image, you can use the I've forgotten how these ones are called. Color grade. What's the actual name of these ones? I've forgotten, but you can use these to adjust color grade your images if your color grading is not really nice for you. And then there is the sharpening and the noise reduction. So if you open this one up, okay, you can reduce the noise on the face. It makes the face very smooth. If you can see it over here, it makes the face very smooth. And then if it's too smooth, you can use the sharpening to also add some kind of sharpen. You can sharpen the image a bit, right? So this is the before of the image and this is the after. So the Camera Raw has got a lot of features. I'm currently on the version 18.2. I think I received an update on my Creative Cloud this morning, but I haven't updated yet. But that's the basics, the very basic thing that you need to know about Camera Raw. There are more things to it, but if you have any specific questions, you can ask that as well. Friends, if you want to get Photoshop 2026, you go to adobe.com. Um, yes, you can just quickly search for it and go to Adobe or adobe.com. You can download the latest version. Or if you have Creative Cloud, you can upgrade. Please, can I get your WhatsApp number? Clifford Kwashi, please test me on any of my social media handles, right? Facebook, Instagram. Please, I will send you the WhatsApp number over there. Filmed by Ni. Ni, are you saying you can't hear me? Because the phone that I have with me here, I can clearly hear the sound. Please let me know if you can't hear me. So drop your questions in the chat. Drop your questions in the chat. And to boost the intensity of the live, if you don't have any question, you can drop some love emojis or some fire emojis so that YouTube can push this live to many people. Film by Ni, yes, you can ask your question. Prince, what size do you use for your flyer designs? That entirely depends on the type of flyer that you are creating. If you are creating for social media, there is the size that you can use. If you are creating for print, A4, A5, A3, it's clearly it's dependent on the type of flyer that you want to create. So if you go to file and then new, you go to print, for instance, you can have so many presets that you can choose from. But if you want to use your own, for instance, if you are designing for a 4 by 4 inch or an 8 by 8 inch, you can put in your figures as well. So maybe the pasta whoever you are designing for will give you the dimensions they want, right? But if they don't give it to you, you as the designer can also um, advise them or give them, let's say, a creative or an expert advice that if you are if you are doing this type of banner or if you are doing this type of flyer, this is the size that really works. So you can use that. So you advise them on that. Ni film by Ni, you can ask your question. Promise Chirara. I don't know if the name is correct. I don't understand what you mean by locked. Can you please start making videos on how to edit videos? I think it's been a while I saw. Edward, I recently dropped more like a masterclass, a full masterclass on how to use Filmora. It's a very detailed beginner's guide to using Filmora. So maybe if you've not seen it, let me try to show you. So let me go to youtube.com and show you that video. Let's go to the video is here. So this video right over here. Wonderchef Filmora for Beginners 2025. That is more like a full masterclass tutorial that I did and I shared it on um YouTube for free. So you can check that out. Okay, Ni is saying that can you please talk about color grading? Ni color grading is a very huge and broad topic, especially in Photoshop, right? Because most times you don't really color grade in Photoshop. But then we can talk about it. What exactly do you want us to talk about? Color grading. Let me know. Let me know. Let me know. Let me know. What microphone are you using for the recording, and how can I get some? I'm using the um Rode Pod 2. Is it Rode Pod 2? Yes. I got it from GoPixelar. It's a Ghana based online based um website that you can purchase from. So go Pixelar. But you can also get it from GG or any shop that sells microphone and other things. Hello, Levy Brand. Thanks for joining the live. Please let me um get your questions so that we can make this interactive. If it requires that I demonstrate it to you, I will do that over here as well. I'm waiting for your questions. Can I ask you about a process? It could be lengthy. Yes, we have about 1 more hour to go. So as long as it doesn't go beyond, and as long as other people do not ask many questions, we can discuss that. Filmed by, is it Neil or yes? I've been saying Neil. Sorry. So you can ask your question. Okay, so let me quickly answer Joel about a scratch disk, right? So the whole concept of scratch disk is space. Mm. Joel, the whole concept of scratch disk is space. So what happens is that Photoshop, by default, when you open your Photoshop, you go to file, sorry, edit, and then preferences. You go to general, right? And then you go to scratch disk. You can see that Photoshop is using a part of your or one of your drives. So I have two drives, C and D. Photoshop is using one of them to save the scratch the or the temporal files, right? My temporal files are stored on scratch on my drive C. Now this is the drive C that is holding the temporal files, holding all these things. So the free space currently is about 83.33 gig. Now, if my space is not enough to hold these temporal files, or I don't delete a couple of things to make space for all of these, and then eventually Photoshop doesn't have any additional space to save these temporal files, that is where you get a scratch disk. I hope this makes sense. So if you are dealing with scratch disk, you go to your general, you come to your scratch disk, check your disk. Is your the disk that you've set. You can change this one, of course. You can change it to even D, or even if I want to be safe, I can choose the two of them. So Photoshop is using the two spaces or the two disks to hold these things. So I don't run out of storage in order to receive this. Now, if my free space goes from 83.33 gig to about, let's say, 2 gig, 3 gig, 5 gig or lesser, the possibility of me getting a scratch disk will be very high, because if I'm creating a new document, for instance, a banner, and I create, let's say, 60 by 72, before I hit, or before, once I click on create, right, this one, if you check the size, you go to image and then you check image size, you can see the size is about 1.09 gig. Now, this 1.09 gig needs a temporal space, because I've not saved this. It needs a temporal space to be saved to, just so if Photoshop crashes or something, you can get kind of a backup. So if I don't get that space for this 1 point, or it could be lesser, 1.09, to be saved on, then Photoshop will give me the scratch disk issue. So it's all about space, right? Let me just close this. So you go to edit, preferences, go to general, check your scratch disk and see the number of storages you are using for scratch disk. I hope that makes sense. Please, what are the processes you go through as a designer before you actually start to design? And do you think design should take a long time to complete? A long time as 2 hours. 2 hours is a long time. Um, Prince. So, the design process for every creative is entirely different. What I may share will be completely different from the process you go through. There are people who receive the brief, they read over it, they go over it with the client, they they do their mood board, their sketches before they jump into the software. Could be Photoshop, Illustrator, or anything, Figma, any design tool that you use, right, or a software that you use. There are also people like myself who can even speak to a client without a very detailed brief, and we can easily conceptualize things in our heads and jump into the software and create something. So I would say that um, it depends entirely on your creative process and your creative prowess, however you come up with things. But you just have to know yourself first, and then you just have to think of things or the process that is way easier for you. If you can't draw like myself, you can't really, maybe you can do a bit of sketches, but if you can't draw, it's fine. You don't have to always draw things up before you put it on your software or in a software. So you just have to know yourself. And then the second question is, and you think design should take a long time to complete? And you are saying 2 hours is longer. 2 hours is not that long. So design can take even as quick as 15 seconds. This thing that we just created is a design. We did it in less than, I think, 3 minutes or 5 minutes, right? So it depends on, again, the brief, the discussion, the longevity of the project, um, maybe what's the deliverables the client is looking for. So it could be as as low as 15 minutes, it could be even 1 month. It depends. Okay, filmed by Neil. Take a sample basic raw image, take an analog color palette from Adobe Colors. Then please show the process of putting the colors of the palette on the sample raw photo. Hmm, that is that is so, Neil, I want you to come again a bit, okay? So are we putting the colors? What do you mean by putting the colors of the palette on the sample raw photo? I don't know if you want us to create something like, let's say, forgotten the thing actually, but please, if you could explain or expatiate on your question, it would be very helpful. It would help me get the understanding of what you want me to do, and then we can do it. So back to the scratch disk thing that I was talking about. I forgot that I didn't talk about how to how to fix it, right? So to fix the scratch disk issue, since is an issue of space, first make sure that where you have your scratch disk going, so edit preferences, and then general, where you have your scratch disk going or save to, make sure that you have enough space on it. That is the very first important thing. If you don't have enough space, obviously you have to clear a couple of things to make space for that. The second thing is you can delete your temporal file. So if you are using Windows key plus R, it is going to open this run box for you. You are going to put percentage sign temp and then percentage sign again. You are going to click on OK. It is going to open the temporal files for you. Okay. Now these are all things that are not really important. So you can just clear them. You select all of them by pressing Control A, and then you click on yes. So it is going to delete all of these. So you can see that it's clearing 6.16 gig from my storage. These are these are items of house that are just sitting on the computer. They are not doing anything. So you can skip all of these ones and then it clears the remaining ones. Okay. So now if I go back to my storage, you can see that I've moved from I think it was 83. Now we have about 84.2 gig. So if you don't have enough space on your C, you clear enough space, you make enough space for that. If your storage, both your storages are not too, or they are not enough, you can add your second one. That is the drive D. In most cases, you can add it to your scratch disk. So when you come to file preferences and scratch disk, you can add this one as well so that it's using the two. So if it's not having space here, it can move to this one and eat from there. I hope that helps. Filmed by Neil. That's why you're asking. Um, Tell us how to put. You see, I think your question is, I don't know, but it's a bit confusing for me. So this is a raw photo that we have over here. Let me just try to bring it in. Okay, I think we can just get rid of this and still make use of it. So this is a raw picture, right? Now you are saying that we should it's very confusing, but I don't know. Because from what you're saying, we can do something as basic as, let's say we go to the gradients, we can add a gradient map, right? And then we can choose any gradients from here. I just want to get the concepts from the angle you are coming from. And then we can change the, let's say, the blend mode to screen, overlay, or anything, soft light, anything that you want to, right? Even with this one, when you delete it, you can just add gradients with different colors. You can change this to, so I clearly want to understand exactly what you want us to do so that I can answer you very well. I don't know if this makes sense, but let me know. All right, so I'm here. I'm still waiting for your questions. If you have anything for me, you can bring it up. I would talk about it. Filmed by Neil. If you could come again much clearer, maybe I'm not getting the point that you're trying to make, but if you could come again, else if anyone else has something, you could put it up and then still here observing and monitoring the chat. And you guys, so I'm actually trying to do this weekly or week basis, or maybe even if I can go to an extent, maybe two times. I'm just trying to show up a lot more. So some of these lives where I get to speak to you directly like this, do things from scratch with you. Is so if you want this to be coming off regularly, let me know in the comment if you are watching the aftermath of this video or the after post. I don't know how that is called. But if you are watching live, let me know if you some of these things weekly or let's say every twice every week or once every 2 weeks. Let me know in the comments so that we will know what exactly to do, how to structure this. Please, can you take us through masking? I have seen designers edit on raw photos, and by that, they include different light source reflections and even new colors to create depth, and they call it masking. Prince, are you sure about that? Is it the masking? Because I even earlier mentioned masking over here. Is it the masking that we all know that you are talking about? If I turn these things off, we have this image is masked, right? If you disable the mask, you can see the background. If you enable it, you can see the you cannot see the background. So the background has basically been masked. So I don't know the type of maybe it's different. We learn every day, but let me know if it's clear. Oops. Filmed by Neil. Let me explain clearly. Just take a sample color palette from Adobe Colors, then apply the colors on a sample raw photo. That's all. Okay, so let's go to Adobe Colors. Adobe Colors. Let's go to Adobe Color Generator. Oops. Oh, shoot. Let's go back here. Uh, Just trying to find Adobe Color Generator or something. I don't want to sign in because I don't want to use any of these things. So let me use incognito. Adobe Colors. Adobe Color Generator. I hope this one also doesn't ask us to sign in. Okay, okay, okay. So let's say we have this color palette over here. Okay, so we have, you can download this as an image. I haven't actually used this before, but since Neil is asking for it, so if we've not signed in, we can't actually download it. So what we can do is that we can copy the hex codes one after the other. So we copy this. This is this is interesting. So we create something like this and you can paste it. Go back to copy this, go to Photoshop, make a duplicate of this, drag it to the right side, and then we are going to change this. Okay. I don't know if what Neil asked, that is what we are doing, but that is my basic understanding of what you asked. I don't know. So I'm going to paste this as well. Left to two, duplicate. Oops. Okay, so duplicate and drag it here. And then so now we have this. We can select the five, press Ctrl G to group it, and we can press Ctrl A to center it. This side is too big, but it's fine. We are not looking for perfections over here. We are just trying to get the whole idea, the concept. Now, since this is a group, I can make a duplicate, Ctrl J, then I can right click and convert this into a smart object. Then rasterize the layer. So the last part is saying that fill out the process of putting colors of color palette on raw photo. So now, first off, this is on it. We can set the, let's see which one works fine. You can set the blend mode to something like this. Multiply. I think this looks good. Yeah, this looks really good. You can even put a test over here. No, let's not put a test over here. Neil, filmed by Neil. Is this what you are talking about? Uh, Do let me know because I think I'm just confused, but do let me know. You can even switch using the hue and saturation, switch the colors a little bit to this. What do you think? This and that. Let me know if that is what you're actually talking about. I think you can create a YouTube poll so that subscribers can vote. Yes. So after this, I'm going to do that on the community tab. So you all can vote. Yes, because film by Neo, I am so lost. I don't really get what you're saying. So maybe you really have to re-explain it. Yes, Prince, I think maybe then it's different because yeah, because the masking that I know and the definition that you gave, it's two complete things, completely new or completely different, if I may. Any more questions? So I really think that this notification, because it just came up this morning when I was about leaving home. So maybe because this the notification didn't get to you guys that fast, that is why maybe the feedback is not that encouraging, or I should put it this way, the feedback isn't that much. But obviously, the next one that we're going to do will be the message you get out there super fast, and you all can prepare for it, prepare with your questions and everything. So please, what is the main reason why we rasterize? Okay, so if you are an ardent follower of this channel, you know that one of the things that we do a lot on this channel is rasterizing. You rasterize a lot. Okay, so let me give you a quick overview of why we rasterize. Let me try to explain it in a very basic and simple term. So you see, Photoshop is a raster software. It's not a vector software like Illustrator and the other things. So here is the thing. Anytime you bring anything inside of Photoshop that is not completely a raster file, in order to get all the access of Photoshop for that particular layer or whatever, you need to rasterize it. This is how. this is what I mean. So you see this thing that we just created over here, right? If we convert this to a smart object, now this layer is no more a raster layer, because converting it into a smart object means that Photoshop will see it either as a vector file or a raster file. It's not, it doesn't really have an identity. And Photoshop is a bit jealous, right, when it comes to some of these things, because it's like somebody having dual citizenship and the person want to belong to one particular country. The country might not entirely agree. So Photoshop is saying that anytime you have something like this, we have something like a smart object attached to it, you need to completely naturalize to Photoshop. You have to be, uh, let's say, a full citizen of Photoshop before you can enjoy all the benefits of Photoshop, if that makes sense. So since this layer is, we converted it into um we converted it into a smart object. Photoshop is seeing it either as a vector file or a raster file. So in order for it to get all the access, so this one, if you go to image and let's say it's not going to have access to some of the things. For instance, even if you want to apply the brush to, you see, this smart object must be rasterized before processing. Edit contents will no longer be available. So Photoshop is basically telling you that before it can get all the access in Photoshop to it, it must be rasterized, it must naturalize, it must kind of be baptized into the Photoshop fraternity. So that is the whole idea, the concept behind rasterizing. So you rasterize a layer so that you can give access to it. So now this same layer, once we rasterize it and we want to apply eraser or anything on it, you can clearly see that the eraser tool has come and now we can erase it. But when it was a vector, a smart object, when you want to try the eraser on it, it will give you, it will give you this background. Sorry. Okay, Prince. So gradient, creating a gradient, you know, it's again, I would say that it's dependent on what you want to do, right? These same colors that we just created, for instance, we can use this to create a gradient overlay, right? And I don't know why you are saying blending options, and these days to create gradient overlays, you don't really need to go through all the headers. You can just come to the create new fill adjustment and choose your gradient over here. It's going to create a gradient for you. So let's say we choose these two bars. Now, you see, the reason why most cases people, you in particular, use a lot of most cases two bars is because one, it's easy and simple, faster. So let's say these two colors, you are using this to create the gradients, right? These two blends seamlessly and very simple as compared to if you add a third bar to it. Now, upon adding the third bar, you can see there is some shade over here. You can't really see the end details. Now, it even gets more confusing when you add another bar over here and you give it, let's say, a different color, right? It even makes it more confusing. So that is why, from my expertise or expect point of view, I'd almost always ask you to create a gradient with two bars if you want to see the actual effect of the gradient in your works. But there are times maybe you are just trying to create a very fancy background. That is where you can go ahead and choose. And even Photoshop has even if you check the presets of from Photoshop, most of them are even two bars. None of them are going beyond 3 bars or those kind of things, except you are trying to create a very unique background. That is where maybe you'd be advised to go beyond that. But I hope this makes sense. Mostly just go for 2 bars and you'd be fine. For this, you can go to your style and then change the style to radial, change it to angle, change it to reflected, diamond, or anything. So if this one, we decide to add more colors to this, you can see that with the diamond now, you start to see the impact. Let's go here and choose something more from this angle. You can go right. And then you can add, let's say, one over here. Control Z. You can add one more here with a different color, a bit up or down. Now, if you compare this to a simple two color gradient that we we were using in the beginning, you can see that that is clearly better. So most cases, just go for two gradients or 2 bars, 2 colors. It saves you a lot of time and effort. All right, so I think we are going to do an extra 15 minutes more. Like I said, because this notification didn't come out that quickly or very early, I'm sure most people couldn't join and they will be losing out on. But still, you can take your time to watch this video. I'll leave it as a playback later on if you want to watch it. Yes, but my idea for this whole life thing is that in the coming videos we would be taking projects, right? Like projects one after the other. For instance, today we will be looking at how to create or design simple banners for, our dear friends and loved ones who are trying to start something for themselves. So if you are starting a solo business, if you are starting um, an online buying business, you can pick one project, do the analysis, get the resources, and then you can do the design right from here. Afterwards, I'll leave it as a playback so that you can go back to it step by step. That is my idea for the subsequent live videos. But let me know your thoughts as well. Yes, so I've seen designers use unique brushes in their work. When they brush it over, some create clouds and other elements. How do we go about that? Okay, so let's rasterize it. If you pick your brush tool and then you go to the brush, you right click, you go to the brush sample, you can see the sample, the presets that Photoshop has given you, right? Now, this one, for instance, if you choose this and you brush, you can see it doesn't look like the the normal brush that we all see. So, the first thing is you can check for some of these brushes. I'm brushing on the main layer. Let me create a new layer. Okay. So if you go to, you can scroll down and see different type of brushes over here. If the one that you are looking for is not here, you can go to settings, go to new brush presets. Sorry, you go to import brushes. And if you've downloaded any brush, you can import it in your Photoshop. Now, let me give you this tip for free. It's been long I used that site, but there is this popular site, Brush Breezy. I don't know if it's still available. So yeah, so Brush Breezy, uh, Brush Brush Easy, Brush Easy. So if you go to Brush Easy, you can, and I have a video on that on Photoshop as well. So for instance, if you are looking for brushes like, let's say, splatter brushes, okay. So we go to free download. It's taking time. Okay, so it's downloaded for us, right? So now I can go to my downloads. Let's go to downloads over here. Oops. Let's go to splatter. And then this, we can select this extract to, and then we can extract it to desktop and click OK. Now let's go back to Photoshop, right? Choose our brush tool, right? So we choose the brush tool, we right click, and then we go to settings and import brushes. Now, if you go to our desktop, you see the splatter brush that you downloaded here. So you click on that and then you click on load. Now, if we scroll down, let's go down, 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 down. You can see the splatter brush that we downloaded. So if you choose this one, you can decrease the size. Let's decrease the size. Oops. Let me do it again. So B for brush, go to settings, and then you can increase the size, and then you can start brushing. So you see this splatter brush, this is one set. If you scroll down, you can see different ones. This is another one, so you can decrease the size. You can start brushing. So it depends on the type of brush or the kind of brush that you want. So if you go to Brush Easy, oh God, go to Brush Easy, you can download a couple of them. There are so many of them. You just have to put in what you actually want, and then you can download and use it for free. Yes, it's free. So maybe those of you thinking you might not, you might be charged, it's free, please. So you can go and download it for free. Second tune, thanks for joining. My boss, Imadadi, thanks for joining. I really appreciate you joining this live and for the support. It means a lot. I'm very hopeful that the next live session will be very, very, I would promote it way earlier or faster before the day. This one, it just came up in mind this morning, so I just had to implement it. These days, I'm saying to myself that I'm not going to hold on to information because it even makes you overthink it. But the next one, I'm going to do a bit of publicity so that it can be more interactive. We have about 8 more minutes. If you have questions, if you have anything to put in the chat or the comments, you can bring it up on board and then we can discuss. believe that we've exhausted our questions, and yes, we have some few more minutes, so I'll just be here until it's 8:30, and then I can just dash off and go do some other things. But I must say this has been interactive. I didn't really anticipate it this much because the notice came very late, but I'm glad that you guys have always got me, and anytime we decide to do something here, you guys decide, you just show up in your numbers and you make the whole thing beautiful. So I really appreciate that. Thank you guys for joining. I hope the little things that we discussed here would be very, very, very impactful. It has been impactful, and if you are joining late, you can always watch the playback and get some few nuggets from this. So thank you so much for joining. I think Prince just asked, what are your top go-to sites for design inspiration? Okay, so there is Behance, there is um Pinterest, Fiverr, because I'm a freelancer. Fiverr also, sometimes I get some design inspiration from Fiverr. There are lots of them, but I can't really mention them. But these three would do you good. And Instagram, if you are on Instagram, pay attention to the designs on Instagram. It's really inspiring, and there are some amazing creatives, especially in Ghana and beyond, who make some crazy designs on there. Who are your favorite fellow creative designers as well, so we can check them up and give them a follow? Oh yeah, check. I mean, not apart from the top guys, there is Pixin Perfect, there is but over here there is Do Creatives. Big shout outs to Do Creatives. There is Devon Graphics. He makes some amazing, cool church flyers and other top tier flyers with some awesome grains. Do Devon started like grains using grains way before even most of us even got to understand the concept of using grains on flyers. So there is Devon. There are some amazing Sir Quantum has been doing some amazing stuff on Instagram recently too. You can check him out as well. There is this guy, Brain Tech. All right, Brain Tech has also been putting out some amazing tutorials. You can check him out. Yeah, just a few of them. So yeah, let me check how many minutes we've done so far. We've done an hour and 21 minutes. That's interesting. An hour and 21 minutes. That's oh, that's really interesting. So yeah, it's 3 minutes to the 8:30. Thank you so much for joining. If you have any final words, you can put it in the chat because I'll be jumping out very soon. If you have anything, final things, but then I would say that thank you so much for continuously supporting my channel and for watching my videos, commenting on my videos, sharing them, those that I see, those that I don't see. I really appreciate it, and I don't take you guys for granted. I really hope that very soon we'll be able to do an in-person meetup where we will discuss design, graphic design as a whole, and Photoshop in much in particular. I have a lot of things planned that I really want to bring on board, but I hope it's all time. It will take time. So With time, you're going to execute all of that. My boss, Secret Chef, you're amazing. As you said, you some 50K. You that has you that have a lot of money. Please send us some 50K dollars. Na yɛmfa nyɛ adeɛ. Morning Commander, thank you for joining and thank you for supporting. Prince, this has been very interactive and educative. I've learned a lot actually. Thank you, Innocent. You're welcome. Thank you so much for staying throughout the 1 hour 20 something minutes. You've really made this interactive as well. I really appreciate you. So yeah, guys, that is where we draw the curtains. Thank you so much for joining this live. The next coming ones will be very, very well organized and well promoted, and will be even more interactive than this one. So I'll see you in the next video and probably in the next live. Don't forget to share the videos, continue to support, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Tech with Chef, I am poor boss. Don't fool me. I'm now going to watch the playback. All right, you are not poor, German. You have a lot of money. You that cook, you've been cooking tech. Charlie, you have lots of money. So yeah, thank you. Please watch the playback. There are a lot of things that you can learn from this. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video or the next stream.